Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here you can find recordings of the live streams from Eric's audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors. A sound effect, Audio Kinetic, Boom Library, Bright Skull, Dolby, Fmod, Game Audio Learning, Game SoundCon, Kilohertz, Motion Picture Sound Editors, Rev Rooms, Sound Cuts, Sound Warriors, and Airwiggles, the online home for audio creatives. We hope you enjoy the video.
Okay, well, yeah, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here with you and with Bart. So hopefully you guys have been excited and been looking forward to Econ and what's to come. But for now, we are going to be talking about a wonderful game called Blueprints. Hopefully you have heard about it already. If you don't know what Blueprints is, it's a sort of mysterious puzzle game where you're exploring a manor, going into different rooms, and you're trying to find this room called Room 46. But I won't go any further than that, because then that's spoiler territory, and I haven't finished yet, so also no spoilers for me. Okay, so I'm here with Bart. Bart, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing very fine, Mia. And how about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm very excited, just trying to channel all the energy, and I'm just very excited to be here. So we're going to start off learning a little bit about you and your background in music. You're a composer, you're an audio engineer, and you have quite an extensive background in electronic dance music, like piano music, jazz music, just a whole bunch of things. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that and the sort of collaborative aspect that you've had throughout your career so far.
Yeah, I think you already did a quite good summarize of what I did. I started with electronic music, back in the day, and did all kinds of things like I don't know, like things like trance, drum and bass, all kinds of stuff. And then at some point, I think around I don't know, 2005, six. I think I got into playing other instruments, and I started to play piano and started to work with other kind of musicians. And yeah, and at some point I went to a jam session and in my local town, Delft, where I was living at the time. And then I met quite a few musicians, and one of them was Eric. And Eric, his last name is Geer, Geer. And now you might ask why I'm mentioning that, because we translated that from Dutch into English, and then we got the name Gusset. And Trick was already a name I was using a long time as a kind of nickname. So then we started Trick and Gusset, doing like cinematic, dark ambient, jazz kind of stuff. We made a few albums, and then at some point, I got an email from Doggy Bump, but now I'm already fast forwarding into into uh, into the Blueprints era. But yeah, that's a bit my background. I have a studio over here. I play all kinds of instruments, as well, digital ones, electronic ones, as well as acoustic instruments, and try to do a lot myself, but also working with other musicians when needed.
Amazing. Yeah. I feel like I've done quite a deep dive into your discography. Sorry. And you seem to just have worked with a lot of amazing people, done a lot of different collaborations, tried a lot of different things,
Yeah,
gone through a whole journey process, and
yeah,
now you're here, which is great with Blueprints, which is what we're going to talk about next. So yeah, you mentioned Eric, your sort of co-composer, co-collaborator on
yeah.
the soundtrack here. So from your experience working with Eric before Blueprints, how much of that transitioned into your work on Blueprints and the score with that, like the instrumentation or your collaboration sort of work process? How much of that was exactly the same, and how much of that changed for the Blueprints?
Um, well, good question. And first of all, when Tonda Ross contacted me about making a soundtrack for a game, At that time, I didn't even know the title. He already, when one of our first conversations about that, he pointed out specific tracks from Trick and Gusset which he really liked, and those were a bit more the ambient, dreamy ones, especially featuring the bass clarinet. Tonda is a great fan of a bass clarinet, because in Trick and Gusset we also use like saxophones and trumpets, but he didn't want that. He didn't want saxophones. He didn't want trumpets. He just wanted bass clarinet.
He
So
knew what he wanted.
and Eric plays the bass clarinet, and so when Eric and I started working on IDs for blueprints, it was already like, okay, you can leave the saxophones at home. We don't need them. It's just okay. We need to have this kind of ambient vibe, and we need to have some beautiful melodies with the bass clarinet on top of it. So that was the starting point, and yeah, then we just recorded a lot of material, especially Eric improvising on some basic drones, and then later on I would pick parts of that and make new tracks out of it. Or
Oh, amazing.
yeah.
So you would sort of do the ambient synth layers and just send it to him and be like, free
No, I
reign?
didn't send it to him because okay, going back into time. No, I think it was October 2023 when Tonda Ross sent me this mail of, okay, do you want to collaborate on a game? And I knew that Eric would be leaving for a sailing trip around the world March 2024.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, okay, I have like 4 or 5 months to record his parts, and then it would just be me.
Okay, wow.
So we had a few days where he would join me in the studio, and we also had some day on a location elsewhere, where we would just record lots of ideas and improvisation, and then he left. And I had just this big library of bass clarinet melodies and some ideas and sketches, and I finished the soundtrack from that point on by myself.
So it was sort of top heavy live recording instrument, getting everything out in that respect. And then were
Yeah,
you sort of building around what you'd recorded?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And sometimes it would be like that. So a bit of musical information that he would record something on a D minor chord, and later on I would change the chord scheme based on notes, and I would put other chords and change the progression and create like new worlds and feelings.
I feel like it's quite hard to in post try and change notes and pitch flex if it's not gonna you have to really adapt to the recording to keep it intact
Yeah,
and sound
yeah,
live, right?
yeah. And I think it worked out pretty well. It was one of the things which was really hard was because the bass clarinet, normally we recorded pretty close mic, and then you also hear this clang sounds of the
Yes,
instrument
yeah.
being played. And then I remember when I sent the first drafts to Tonda, he would say, "Okay, but what's that noise over there?" I was like, "Yeah, that's just his finger, he's trying to reach another note." Yeah, but people playing the game might think something is happening in the game itself when they hear click of click. So I had to remove all those sounds with like very tiny micro editing. I had to remove all these little sounds of valves being used, so that it would sound really smooth and around the player.
So a lot of work in the sort of post
Yeah,
production.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
wow. Amazing. Okay, so we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into working with the developer sort of and the communication between you and Tonda there.
yeah,
So this was your like first major game release,
yeah,
and how like so the developer reached out to you. That's got to be like very inspiring to that they've come to you. You know they really admire your work.
yeah.
And then did he have an idea? I mean, you said that he used some of your works as reference.
Yeah.
Was he very involved in that process, or did he sort of just let you take it and run with it, or was there sort of a back and forth going on between you guys?
Yeah, I remember the start was being first you really have to sync, and I remember that I sent him about 30 pieces, like all kinds of ideas, some things which I made already in the past. And I was thinking, okay, maybe you can use this, or all kinds of snippets and small tracks. And then I remember that from the first batch, it was like only 2 of the 30 tracks I sent he would like. I was like, okay, this is going to be hard. But then at one point, sometimes it's hard to talk about music with words to know exactly what you want. Especially for a non-musician, it's hard to okay to use the right words so a musician can really understand what you want. So we had to sing, and when and at some point we were aligned, and then I was like, okay, dude, this is what you want, this is what you need, and this is what you don't want. And then we would we would have a very good way of working together. Yeah.
Amazing. And so you said, how much of the game did you get to see? Like, did you see any of it? Did you know kind of the story progression of what was happening, kind of the ins and outs of specific rooms, or was it what were the briefs that you were being given?
Well, in the beginning, the briefing was very brief, and I know it was some kind of puzzle adventure game, and I think I saw a few screenshots and maybe 1 or 2 in-game short videos. But then it was like, okay, Donna said to me, "Go make as much music as you can." We had like ideas around 30 tracks, 30 till 40 tracks. That was the idea when we started, and I will just place them where I want them. So I would create like dark stuff and more melodic stuff, and a bit more beautiful, and he would just place it in the game, and I wouldn't know. I had no idea where a track was placed. So that's what we how we started. Um, and I think that was especially the first year was like that. And then we came to a point where it was like, okay, I need specific music for this empty train station which we have, or we people go outside, so we need to have something which works with trees outside, or we need to have something for the basement where there's a graveyard and it needs to be dark. So then we would like have more specific compositions and ideas.
So that's a lot of trust for you as a composer to sort of have this output, and then he's just gonna
Yeah,
infer what you mean and assign it to something in the game. I feel like
yeah,
that, it's kind of
yeah.
scary your work going out there like that.
Yeah, it was strange because for me it was great because I could just focus on the music. I could just focus on the music, but I know at some point we really I was like, okay, but can you please show me what you need? And then I was like, okay, now I understand more what the vibe needed to be. But that was just, I think, maybe 10-20% of all tracks was like that, and the other 80% was like just me creating stuff, sending it to him, and he would reply, "Oh, this is great! I can use it over there," or "Oh, can you please extend the intro a bit?" Or "Yeah, we need we need a percussion layer which we can uh, activate." Oh, maybe that's a nice thing to tell as well. How we worked a bit technically. I don't know if it's
Mm.
something which.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah. Um, for instance, at some puzzles where you do maybe solve something inside the puzzle, then the music changes. Um, and we would have I would make a track and split it up in several layers, and they would all play at the same time. Only the user would only hear layer 1, while the other ones are already playing in the background, just muted. And then we do a specific thing, then layer 2 would be added in the mix. So then we would have like a mixer with multiple tracks which would be and in the game would decide when a new layer was added to the mix.
Like sort of interactivity
Yeah,
is quite different from like the more linear music that you're used to, right? So how was that
yeah,
trying to do like different versions or different layers of a track that you wouldn't necessarily hear all the time?
yeah. I think it was great. I really liked to do that because the music is very atmospheric, and there's not that much rhythm in the Blueprint soundtrack. So I really loved it. At some point, it was like, oh, can you make this kind of percussion layer to this track? And then yeah, I think it was great. But of course, when creating that, you still have to take into account, okay, this is a separate layer. It needs to work without the layer, and it should work with the percussion layer. But fortunately, music software is very suitable for that kind of ID and that kind of way of working.
Brilliant. So to just go into that a little bit deeper of the process of composing without really having any briefs, what does that look like to you when you have like empty project? Or I guess you don't have empty project because you have the bass clarinet stuff. So, but starting with the bass
Yeah,
clarinet, like,
but
what do you do next?
it's also good to mention. I guess if you listen to the OST, then I think about maybe 40% of all the tracks have a bass clarinet, and the other ones are just there are some piano only tracks. There are some tracks which are just ambient pads and drones,
Mm.
which don't have bass clarinet at all.
So how do you
Uh,
start those? Empty project, what do you do?
Sometimes it would be sometimes I would be in the living room playing a piano and having kind of ID which I would work out in the studio, and otherwise another um I would just sit in the studio, and I for the people listening and using plugins in a DAW. Omnisphere was one of the packages I used most. One of the plugins I use most. It's a very versatile plugin where you can have lots of different sounds which you can tweak. And sometimes I would just go to certain sounds and try different chords and melodies on the keys. And yeah, I remember some compositions. It was like me just noodling around for half an hour and just sending it to Tonda and was like, wow, this is great. And other was like, okay, can you change that? Yeah, but we need that, and we can change that. Like for instance, the end tunes and the tunes which really have should have impact in the game. They have like maybe 30 revisions or whatever. So then it would be lots of changes, but other tracks would be very straightforward and easily done. Yeah, and with the bass clarinet, um, yeah, at some point I remember that I would run out of bass clarinet parts, and it was like Donna asking me, "Yeah, maybe we should ask bass clarinet in this track," and I was like, "Okay, where can I just get some more?" But at the end, I managed to. I think I've used almost all the content Eric played, because the great thing about with Eric, you can just put some kind of drone, maybe just one or two notes even, and he would just play like 10 minutes of all melodies, and I would then use those melodies in all those compositions. But at some point I was like, okay, did you really have to go sailing around the world at this point? It would be nice to have you
You just
here.
have this limited material. Yeah, that is quite
Yeah.
hard, I guess. Did you ever
Yeah.
use did you ever like use things throughout different tracks? Or was it more like purist, this is for this track and I'm not going to use it again?
um Good question. Like for instance, the improvisations he did for like improvisations or 7 minutes, then I might have one bit for one track and another bit for another track, and I really don't know anymore which bits I used for which tracks. But um yeah, it's not I don't think exactly the same parts have been used in multiple tracks. I think all tracks have original parts.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, see what else I wanted to ask you. This is great. This is, oh my gosh, so much information. Ooh. So I'm really interested to know sort of more about the writing for game aspect of this and how it was different from what you're like used to doing with your album stuff and the more live music that you've done. And if there was anything else, we talked about the sort of interactivity, different layers. If
Yeah.
there's anything else that you were sort of conscious about in the composition process to,
Yeah, like I already mentioned a bit, the part that especially for blueprints, the music had to be really around the player, and the sound effects would be the sounds close to the player. So that would be a really different role for music than if you create music for an album where yeah, especially if you use drum sounds or whatever sounds you want sounds to have to be close and sounds to be further away in a mix. And especially for blueprints, it had to be really the atmosphere and not um, sounds with a lot of transients. So that was different, and of course the length is different because on an album track you basically have an intro, you have a yeah, you have some kind of verse or theme, and then solo improvisation, and then an outro, something like that. But for this, some tracks would have to be looped or could continue for 10, 20 minutes in the game. I remember having discussions with that with Tonda because he was really like, yeah, but this can continue for 15 minutes. And I would be like, yeah, but if I hear this for 15 minutes, that's too boring. We need to add something. We need to maybe add some kind of different chord scheme during the way. And but I have to give him a lot of credit because there were some tracks which he really loved when I created them, or where we created them. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if it's just the best thing we have. Oh, this is players gonna love this, and he would be right because the tracks where he said that players would love it, that are the tracks which are played most on YouTube and most on Spotify. So um,
I guess he has
I
the
don't know.
context of the game paired
Yeah,
with the music. He knows more like, okay, this is definitely going to sell this aspect of
yeah, and of course he
whatever.
also knew when he would use the specific music, and I think Blueprints is such an atmospheric game, and people really get sucked into this world. So he would know exactly, okay, if I put this melody at that point, it would really work together, and yeah, yeah, it proved to be right.
Very effective. Okay, so I've got a kind of fun question, and maybe an unanswerable question, but I'm really interested to know what your like favorite track from the soundtrack is. If you have a
Oh, that's
favorite.
hard. I think the one popping up for me now is Departure.
Okay.
The Departure is not the most popular track like Westwardly Winds or Over
That's
Neverland.
my favorite.
Yeah, which I like as well. But I think Departure, I think the clarinet of is so, I don't know. It just cuts through my soul, and then you have this build up. Yeah, I think it's that one is maybe some kind of my personal favorite. Yeah.
Question. This is more like game related, but do you play games? Are you a gamer?
Well, I used to be a gamer when I was younger, but at some point I just started to make music, and I like to make music more than playing games. So um, no, at the moment, no. I just whenever I have time, I work on music, and yeah, I'd love to do more game music, of course, because I think the game music community is great. I really love the people. I love the comments, the yeah, the whole. Yeah, I think the game world is great, but let me just do the music and others play the game.
Would you do something sort of similar style to Blueprints, or would you want to like push yourself to do something completely different if you did another game?
Yeah, well, I'm already talking with Tonda to maybe do another project. It's still very I can't tell that much about it, but yeah, that will be different as well. I don't know. I think my background is also quite diverse. So one thing for me, what for me is important is that I can have some kind of that uh, I don't want someone to micromanage what I'm doing. So that would be great with Tona. I could just okay. He had like, of course, like, can you extend this intro, or can you maybe remove that sound somewhere over there? But for the most part, I would have complete creative freedom of the music, and that's something I would something I prefer.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it worked out like really well for you. That just having that ability to just compose lots of stuff all
Yeah,
at once and then sort of
yeah,
receive the feedback afterwards.
yeah. And I think the great thing with game music is that you have that did you have like these pieces which can take for like 6-7 minutes, because I also used to do a bit work for like advertising and commercial stuff, and then you have to like fit a whole story into 10 seconds of a radio commercial, and it would like be and this is completely different kind of stuff, which I really love.
Yeah, you have time to sort of serve the narrative when
Yeah,
you have
exactly,
longer pieces.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm going to move on to some Q&A questions because we have a lot and we
Oh,
do have time. So I'm going to go do some Q&A. Is that okay with you?
yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So I'm going to spotlight some questions.
Oh.
Okay, first question. Were you able to sneak any Easter eggs of any kind into the music?
Yes, yes, yes. I. That's a nice question. There's one track. It's called I think it's Lessons of the Past. And there's a sound in there. Uh, it sounds like some kind of metal scraping kind of sound drowned in reverb, and it's funny thing is there's a gate next to my studio, and at some point this gate would make this sound, and I, and I heard that sound for my studio when people would open this gate, and then at some point I would walk outside with a microphone, and I thought, okay, I have to get this sound into blueprints. So I recorded it, and I added a lot of reverb to it so that it would match the blueprint style. And yeah, I think it's in Lessons of the Past. You can hear it at the end of Lessons of the Past. So I think that's
Okay,
kind of
everyone can do a little deep dive into that and try and find
yeah.
it somewhere. Oh my gosh, brilliant. Thank you for the question. Okay. Next question. Do you struggle with perfectionism at all in deciding when a track is done? How do you draw the line? This is great.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a good question. I think if I know the melody is right, uh, if I think there's a good melody, then I don't change the melody afterwards. But I can be quite picky on the mix. So I remember, especially with blueprints, that some stuff which I made at the end of 2023 or maybe early 2024, that I would revise that again in 2025 to just get the balance right, and maybe less bass, or I don't know, changing the mix to but I don't think it's perfectionism, but yeah, I think yeah, mixing can be picky, especially we have so many tracks and so many things, and it has to be in line with each other. And yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine that being hard. And did you have different mix setups for different rooms or different, I guess, different tracks?
Oh, that's a nice question as well. I remember that um, I didn't have have special rooms which I could just activate. But I remember Tonna saying, "Yeah, we have this. We have the her ladyship's theme, but it has to play in a ballroom. So can you make it sound like a ballroom?" And then I would use room simulators, which like what you thought. Okay, this yeah resembles a ballroom. So that I would use room simulators for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for the question. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. Thank you, Lewis. Did you expect Blueprints to be such a big success? And how has it
No,
changed
no,
your career?
no, I did not. One thing I learned from doing all these projects in the past is that I have to keep my expectations modest, because I remember when I was younger and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and then it would not be that great, and you would be disappointed. So I was like, "Okay, this is a nice, this is great to do," and if like if it gets if it's a little game in the end, which with moderate success, it's fine with me. So but I know I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. I remember Tonna saying to me, "Okay, Trick, you're gonna get a lot of praise for the soundtrack," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll see." But um, yeah, and it had changed my. I think it has changed my life in a way that I think it's the most successful thing I did until now. So yeah, that's I think some kind of a bit of life changing event, I guess. So I'm very grateful for it.
You said you're considering doing more, so I guess that is great to hear
Yeah,
that you had a good experience, you had a good time, and you want to do more of it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, let's see what the future brings.
Okay, next question. How did you come up with the theme that plays throughout, like in Eclipse? Also, how involved were you in the early concept of the game? Were you able to write while seeing artwork stories? So a little bit of what we covered there, but a little bit extra.
Yeah. So the team in Eclipse, it was just me improvising on. I think in Eclipse was based on Ovin Nevarai. First, it was just one project, and then we separated it into two tracks. And I remember just, especially for this one, we had a lot of revisions and a lot of ideas. Um, and I think the team was one of the yeah one of my ideas, which Donna liked in the end, which got into the final track. So yeah, I did. Sometimes I would just. I remember when we worked a lot of tracks. Then sometimes I would just lay in bed at night and was like, okay. Okay, then a melody would pop up, and then I would record it into my phone, like, oh, na, 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 na. And then the next day, I would like, oh yeah, that was what I meant. And then some of those melodies got into the music that way. But I think most of the ideas were just me playing around on keys and finding nice sounds and melodies that work. And what was the second question?
How
How
involved were
involved you
you?
were in the early concept? Well, I wasn't, because Tonna worked for over 8 years on Blueprints, and he was already working 5 years on Blueprints when he contacted me. So there was already so the early concepts of the game were already there. So I wasn't involved in those first 5 years.
And were you able to see some of the artwork?
Oh
You
yeah,
said you saw a couple of things, right?
yeah. I saw a couple of things. Not so much. I think.
Did the art ever sort of inspire composition, or was it more like knowing
Yeah,
the
I think
story behind
I
it?
think the art. I remember one of the first things I saw was just yeah, the mansion and the colors and the way and that inspired me certainly to like, okay, did I this needs this kind of feeling, this kind of music, and but I think I don't know exactly how much I solved the game, but not so much.
To just not be too conformed by an expectation of something.
I remember one time I would ask to Tonda, uh, when does a player hear this in the game? And he would said, okay, I give you a typical blueprints answer. That depends on the player. Because now I know a bit how the game works, but at that time I was like, okay, this is a linear game. You have to find rooms and but each player has a different experience, and some players find room 46 much sooner than others.
And a good question, kind of, that I was thinking just of reading this question is when you're talking about recording stuff when you're asleep or and then coming back to it the next day, how long would it take you to write a track? And would you do like one at a time, or would you be working on sort of different bits of different tracks at the same time?
A bit of both, I guess. Um, so especially when I was inspired, I remember having days that we would have like 2 or 3 new things I would send to Tonda, and we had this sketches folder. We used Dropbox for that, and I was like, and I would send him a message. Okay, I put 3 new ones in the sketches folder. Listen to them. But then it would also that he would respond on some other piece from the week before, and yeah, it's nice, but maybe we can do a bit like that, and then I would have a revision on another ID. So it would go all parallel. That's the way I love to work on multiple projects at the same time. So that's yeah, it's just where sometimes you have you like, okay, I just want to have a new blank project and have every possibility I can. And otherwise, and on a day it would be like, okay, yeah, I need to fix that bass in that track over there, and then get a new version.
Nice. And you're never like sort of stuck on one thing at a time, and
No,
you
no,
could just move across to different
yeah,
things. And
yeah.
brilliant. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Were there any early drafts, styles of music that you wrote that you scrapped? And if so, why?
Yeah, there were a lot of things which were scrapped in the beginning, and that were especially I don't know if I still have them. Let's just quickly look into this folder over here. I still have this. I think we removed the sketches folder at one point. Well, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I remember creating also a bit more uplifting stuff, or maybe some yeah, things would be a bit more energetic or a bit more mean. Or I remember also using a lot of analog synths in but they would be too yeah, those pieces wouldn't work for blueprints. And I remember having this. I have this synthesizer here, which sounds a bit more like Vangelis Twin Peaks kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, we can use that one as well. But Thomas said, no, that's too retro for me. I need another kind of sound. So yeah, there were a lot of things which were scrapped.
I guess you can't be too precious about it, and just if you can sort of judge that yourself, okay, this is good, but it's not working for the game,
Yeah,
then just move on to
yeah,
something else.
I have no problem in killing my darlings. And the funny thing is that I would be at some point. I remember then sending Tonda a revision. Yeah, I made a revision of this track because this sound was. What, did you change it? No, no, you cannot change this track. It's really good. We should not. I was like, yeah, but yeah, I think we can use another melody over there. And no, 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 no. I want version 5. Version 5 is okay, okay, okay. So he would be really attached to some of the pieces, where I would be more willing to change or make other versions. Or so it was to finish that story. There was one piece where it was the other way around. That's a piece called Perfect Fifth, and Perfect Fifth is not on the Blueprints OST because I made it for Blueprints, but in the end, it was not what Tonda was looking for. So he wanted changes, and I was like, okay, no, I want this to sound exactly like it is now. So we released that as a separate track, and Gristed track. So you can all listen to Perfect Fifth because it was made for Blueprints, but never made it to the game. But I still think it's very nice track.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got some listening homework to catch up on. See if we can make the connections there. Brilliant. Okay, we're gonna keep going through. We've got loads. What would you say is the key to composing music that will fit a game without being able to see much of the game at all? What is the key? How do you do it?
I think the key is to be in sync with the game developer, like I was, to really know what they want, and also know how you can be creative and artistic the way you want, and have that at the same time. So what I mean about this, that at some point I knew what could work in the game, but I also knew what I would like to create. So I would love to. I loved it to just work on sketches and new ideas, and they didn't all make it to the game, but lots of them did. So yeah, because I at some point I knew what Tonda wanted, and I knew what kind of atmosphere he was looking for. Then it was great to just make music without seeing anything, because I didn't miss it. Because I knew what he was looking for. So it would have been different if he was like, "Oh no, that doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work." Like what we had in the first weeks. If that would have been continued, then I think I wouldn't be here at this point.
The beauty of him coming to you is that he already knew that you were a good fit, and that what you have created would work and was what he was looking for.
Yeah, but it was also for him. It was it was a gamble a bit, because he knew the music he liked, but he didn't know if Strick and Gusset would be able to work on a game, and would be able to do revisions and work on multiple layers and looping tracks and all kind of stuff. So we have he asked all those questions when we started. So, yeah. But I think pretty soon we got to a point like, okay, this is gonna work.
Good communication
Yeah,
solves everything.
yeah. So it would be lots of Discord chats, endless Discord conversations. And it was funny because it was like only at I think in the final months of Blueprints, then the publisher got involved, and there comes some audio editors. But before that, it would just be me and Tonda chatting about music, and no other person would be involved.
Yeah, and I guess when you put the music out, did you have to? Is everything that's out is on streaming, like the full versions of stuff? Did you have to cut anything down for
Yeah,
that?
we had to cut it because when we released the OST, and it was like, okay, how many minutes of this this track do we need? When you just listen to the music, then you get, then we also had to say, okay, this track has layer A and layer B. Okay, we should make one thing of it for the OST when layer B gets added at the end. Or we also decided for some tracks, okay, layer B is only added in the game because we don't use it for the OST. So there are some parts of the music which are only in the game and not on the OST, but just small things.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it was quite some work to get these pieces aligned
Yeah.
for the OST, because some were just so extended, and was like, okay, how do we make something of like 5 minutes or 4 minutes or 6 minutes or something from this, or even shorter.
I guess you have both formats, game and
Yeah.
and
True.
listening, and so just gotta listen to all of it to get the whole
Yeah,
experience.
for the vinyl, we even needed to make extra cuts simply because the vinyl has a limit of how much you can put on one side.
Okay, thank you for the question. Right. Did you? Oh, this is interesting. Did you have any involvement in creating the music sheets
Yeah,
found in
that's a
game?
great question.
That's a brilliant
Uh,
question.
yeah, yes, I have, and the funny thing is that I don't work with sheet music. I know I have to. I convert sometimes my MIDI parts into sheet music if I work with some players who have to play it. But I'm not really a fan of the sheet music format. Um, but I remember that we have these piano pieces, and then um, Tonda knew someone, music teacher, and she transcribed some of my piano work into sheet music, and then I would verify it. And also Gossett, Eric, he can read sheet music very well. He would also verify at some point. But yeah, I remember when we started, it was like, I don't know, they just used some, I don't know, some classical stock music thing. And someone was like, okay, we need to change it. This needs to be something. If players going to zoom into this sheet music, it needs to be something which is actually from the game. But I think, yeah, this music teacher, she did it pretty well. I think she for Simon's team and Ladyship's team, she made sheet music from it.
Brilliant. That's kind of cool that you had sort of some part of the game design aspect as well in there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's added to the many list of things that you can do.
yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. Ooh, another good one.
More
Has
questions.
working, yeah, more questions. Let's go. Has working on the game changed how you approach music at all? Are you now imagining room types as you're writing music? Has it just
It's also a good question, but my honest answer is no. Um, um, no, I don't think it changed the way I create. I learned a lot of it. I learned from it. I learned how game music works. But if I create music for other purposes, for other projects, I'm not imagining room types or anything. No, no.
brilliant? You're still just writing what you want and
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
what's there.
Yeah, but sometimes I have ideas. Of course, you can have ideas about some visuals or whatever. But yeah, I think for blueprints, it was, yeah, you know, at some point how this game will look, and then you're in this kind of zone, and everything you create is just for this game. But without blueprints, yeah, there's a complete different world.
It's good though. That's good that you're not sort of like stuck in one one thing. You've done that game and you can move on. And maybe the
Yeah,
next game that you guys will do, you might revisit some things, or maybe it might
yeah,
be completely different.
yeah,
We'll have to wait and see.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. This is a great question as well. Bass clarinet is awesome. Yes. Were there any other instruments, live instruments, recorded ahead of time, or was it just the bass clarinet?
It was only the bass clarinet, yeah, because I recorded all the synths and the piano and I think it's mostly synthesizers and piano for the other instruments. I recorded them all afterwards. Of course, I recorded some parts before the bass clarinet was recorded, so that Eric would have something to play along. Um, Yeah, but there are no other live instruments used. I think it's only the bass clarinet.
Just spotlight, bass clarinet. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, and I think it worked out well because I remember from the start I was like, yeah, but I know this great trumpet player, and we can use that as well. And no, so but in the end, it has this sound, it has this I don't know, it's a whole.
It's nice. It's cohesive as a thing, as an album, as a game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There is a trumpet, by the way. That's also good to mention. Maybe some of the players already mentioned because there's one track. It's called History Suspended, and we made an extended version of that called History Extended. It's released on Bandcamp in April last month when Blueprints was celebrating its 1 year release. It's coming to Spotify next week, and that's because that was one of the pieces where I was like, okay, I hear a full band with this. So in the game, it's just some synthesizers and Eric on the bass clarinet, and I made a full version of that with a band version with the drummer, bass player, guitar player, trumpet player. So it's called History Extended, and it's also on Bandcamp and YouTube right now.
Wait to hear it. Gonna be
Yeah,
good.
it's nice. It's a 10-minute piece.
Wow.
I love it.
How do you compose a 10-minute piece without like sort of that listener fatigue or like people switching off? Like how do you generate that interest with it still being quite ambient and spacious?
Well, in this full band version, um, I really loved what Koen, the trumpet player of String Gusset, played on it, and also Jörn, another friend of mine, also collaborated on some tracks and Blueprints, played guitar, and there were so many great parts in those recordings. So I was like, yeah, this part need to be in the track, and this part need to be, and then it got longer and longer, and now it's a 10-minute track. But I think at some it evolves, and it starts really ambient, and at some point the guitars get heavy and the drums get more heavy, so there's some kind of build up in it. And yeah, Tonda came up with the name History Extended instead of History Suspended, which I really loved. So
Cool. Okay. So did working for a game change your view on composing for media? We kind of already answered that earlier. But are you looking to get more into the technical interactive side, or do you prefer to stay on the creative side of things?
yeah, I really prefer to stay on the creative side. Like I said, I did some media composing earlier, and I didn't get that much energy from it, because then it would really be like someone saying, yeah, we need this, and then no, you need to do it like that, and then I don't know, it would give me a lot of stress, and so for future media assignments, I love to stay on the creative side. Yeah, that's I guess that's my side. And maybe you should. I don't know exactly what you mean with the technical interactive side of things, because I'm always trying to improve my skills and also know more about the technical side of mixing. But maybe you mean something
Maybe
else.
more of the middleware side, like the interactive, like having different layers and
Yeah, but that's something I love. Yeah. I think I think it's great to work on that. And so for a next project, I love to do stuff with looping and multiple layers being added, or maybe even effects added during a piece when the user does something in the game. That's stuff I really love. I really like to do. Yeah. So, but I think that can be combined with creative side as well. But I don't want to don't want to be a developer myself. I think like Unity. I know Tona is using that. Maybe some of the listeners are familiar with that designer package. I would love. He would put everything in Unity. He would do everything there. I would like. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't. That's
So you weren't using any middleware or anything. It was more just you were like, this does this. These are the layers, and he would just implement them
yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah. I would just generate a lot of WAV files for him.
Again, a lot of trust there to that he would fulfill your vision of what you
Yeah,
wanted.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is a wonderful question as well. So the music feels very deep and emotional. Do you feel that when creating the music?
Yeah, it's a good question, and that's also something which I really didn't expect from because I know a lot of people are really touched by the music. You know, I really got personal messages from people saying, "Yeah, I played Blueprints. At some point, you know, my mother was ill and she died, but your music really helped getting me through this." And it's not like one person, but multiple person with really personal stories contacting me about it, and I was, yeah, I'm really touched by that. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's just something, you know, when I create music. At some point it's like, okay, this works, I like this because it opens up so well, because it has this nice resolution, or because it's kind of dark and spooky. And yeah, I guess I'm not so emotional when I create music, but at some point it does something to people, which is of course the yeah, it's great, you know. I'm very how do I say that? I'm humble, and I don't know. Don't know the right word for it, but at least yeah, I think it's great that people are really so touched by the music.
Yeah, it resonates with people
Yeah,
when
resonates.
they're feeling things.
That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, I think that's so powerful. Like to be able to affect people that way and for people to experience. And I guess that's the thing that you were saying, that everyone has their own unique listening experience, not
yeah,
only in how the tracks are played and their experience of the game, but also how the music will affect them and how they'll interpret what you mean. So I guess in a way you not really having a set, like this piece has to mean this thing, allows the listeners to just, make their own mind up about what it means to them, which is
yeah,
quite beautiful.
yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the question. Right, we're getting through these. This is brilliant. Okay. I think this is a good question to sort of end on. Any advice for people just starting into making music for games? What would you advise?
Um, yeah, I think stay true to yourself. So try new things, try to improve yourself, try to get uncomfortable in a certain way, and try new territories, but also do what you're good at, and don't say yes to assignments where you need to create music which is not your cup of tea. So there's, I think David Bowie once said that an artist performs best when he's just slightly in an uncomfortable area. So you don't need to be too comfortable because you would make the same piece all over again. So you need to challenge yourself, but you also need to be true to yourself. So I guess it's a bit of both. And yeah, be sure to be aligned with the developers of the game. So I think, like I already said that a few times, but it really helped that we had this first phase where only a few pieces worked, but that would. So maybe one of advice also is, if you have when you start, just send a lot of different things, because for game developers it can be difficult to pronounce exactly what they want. So then just send them whole different stuff, and then at some points be sure that you're aligned, and that yeah, that you work towards the same goal.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we are at our time, I think, there. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and for being so down to answer all these questions. A lot of questions. We've grilled you really, truly, quite deeply this evening. So thank you so much. And I hope that this was pretty fun for you, as it was for me.
Certainly. Thank you too, and thanks thanks the audience for listening and sending these questions.
Yes, thank you guys so much for your wonderful questions and for tuning in to hear us yap a little bit. This is just, everyone has loved the game and has been so just appreciative of the music that you've written. And yeah, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your behind the scenes insight with us. And yeah, I'll invite Lewis to do a little wrap up.
Oh no.
On my way. He's on his way.
I can see another question. What tool in your toolkit did you find was the most useful for this project? So it was like the Omnisphere plugin by Spectrasonics, and it was like the Noir piano by Native Instruments.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you both so much. That was really, really entertaining, and I'm glad so many of my questions got answered as well, which is what I'm particularly happy about. And I guess it's good for everyone else got some questions answered too. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, folks. That was really great. Mia, great interviewing. And yeah, Bart, it's really awesome to hear about some of your processes and your experiences with it. I could talk about blueprints for hours, and I would love to ask so many more questions, but we'll have to cut it there. Again, Mia, Bart, thank you again so much. I'm going to end the stream now, but yeah, just awesome panel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.